to the Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast with your hosts, Reese Downing and Jacob Workman.
What is up, everyone? Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast, NCAA edition, week 6 finally is here. Joining as always, co-host Reese Downing. Reese, what's been going on?
Oh, not too much, man. A little disappointed in my Rebels losing to Kentucky in the waning moments of that game last week, but had some really solid action in week 5. So,
yeah, and we talked about it at the beginning of the year. I was going to get into this a little later, but since you said that, there's two teams we said typically shit the bed, and we thought this year might not shit the bed. Ole Miss is one, Oklahoma State's the other. Both beds have been pooed. Yes, it has not been good in their beds. And unfortunately, Oklahoma State, I think, is in worse shape. I don't know what's going on there. They're clearly just not performing like they should be. Ole Miss, I do think, has still maybe an outside shot at the playoff. I think it's going to be a little tough at this point, but we'll be interested to see how they finish up the season and see if you continue to pick them as your lock every week. But we'll see how that goes.
I hear judgment in that statement.
So for anyone that listens to this show, I think you're going to love this news. Starting today, which today is Thursday, October 3rd, there is a college football game or an NFL game on TV for the next 55 consecutive days. So strap in. We've got a lot of fun. Anytime there's football on every single night for 55 days, it's a great time. Wednesday, November 27th, the night before Thanksgiving. For some reason, we don't get football that night, but Thanksgiving Day, we come right back with my Lions. So it's all right. I guess we can handle one night without it, because then we're going right into another weekend, because we got Thursday, we got Black Friday, we got Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So we're right back into it right after that. 19 teams are still perfect after week 5. A few surprises in there, including the one and only mighty IU Hoosiers, still undefeated. One other undefeated team. It's a team I've loved to talk about this year just because we've had so many stories. I picked them as a dog one week and they hit as a big dog. The soaking goes wild there. We have the BYU playing quarterback for them, which I love. And to top it off, they kind of got thrown into another situation that this one, they just happened to be the team playing Kansas State. But a man went on Twitter and said if Kansas State loses to BYU, he's going to shove a beefy 5-layer burrito up his ass. Good news for college football fans. That was my dog, and BYU won that game. So if you can,
good news.
Because it's about to lead to what we're about to show.
Yeah,
so if anyone can lead, make sure you're watching on YouTube. If you're a listener of this show, you've got to dedicate at least a good minute to go to YouTube and check out what we're showing, because St. Bill Snyder on Twitter on September 18th put the tweet up that says, if K-State loses to BYU, I'll shove a beefy 5-layer burrito up my ass. A few days later, he posted that he had went to Taco Bell and he had his beefy 5-layer burrito and he was putting it in the freezer so that it was nice solid form so it didn't break apart. and then we get this picture, the Taco Bell bag on his head with the actual beefy 5-layer burrito in his ass for proof. And you know what happened? Guess what happened, Reese?
I don't want to know what happened.
They came out and they beat Oklahoma State. That's what happened. That man went through with his punishment. And here comes Kansas State with a huge win on the road at Oklahoma State. Now, for those of you that don't follow Florida State as closely as I do, I mean, obviously, you know it's been a terrible season. We had a fan week 1 that said if Florida State loses to Boston College, he would eat a big pile of shit. Well, that man never ate the shit. And look at us. So clearly that shows what happens if you fulfill your promises. So
I'm just glad that you started that second part of this conversation with another fan, because I was a little concerned that you were going to say you were going to shove a 5-layer burrito up your ass.
Oh, no.
Florida State beats Clemson this weekend. No, don't even consider it. No,
if our season was savable and we could make the playoffs, I would say maybe, but we can't make the playoffs early at this point, so it's not worth it.
Maybe you can eat a Waymo burger.
I mean, for what he's been doing, we deserve to eat one anyway. He's been electric, which we'll get to in the NFL episode. But so, I mean, just good faith of college football fans right there. Fulfill your promises. Your team comes out with a huge win. Don't fulfill your promises. Worst season we've had, and I couldn't tell you how fucking long. So it's as simple as that. Shattering records is the next one on the list. So we've had some crazy things going on in college football. This guy, Ashton Jeanty, Jesus Christ, 845 yards, which is more than 90 FBS teams alone. And he also has 13 touchdowns in basically 3.5 games. For comparison, last year, he had 1347 on the year and 14 touchdowns all season. So he's almost broke the amount of touchdowns he had last year. And he's only 500 yards away from what he had last year in 3.5 games. He is on pace right now for Barry Sanders' rushing yards record. It'll be interesting to see how that keeps going. But in an age of air out college football, it's amazing what Jeanty's been doing. He's nasty. And I mean, we talked about him pretty much all offseason about how good he was. And now for him to come out and just do what he's been doing, he's definitely outshined Ollie Gordon in about every way possible. So it's nice for one of them to live up to the bill, but he's been just absurd with what he's been doing.
Gordon's not even. I don't even know where Ollie Gordon is ranked right now in terms of yards. I don't think he's in the top 100.
Yeah,
he's or top 50. I mean,
he hasn't been doing hardly anything really.
Yeah, Ollie Gordon is sitting at 53 right now.
With how many yards?
334.
So less than half of the yards of Jeanty. Jeez.
Yeah, the next closest guy to Jeanty is Caleb Johnson at Iowa, and he has 180 yards less than what Jeanty does. That's how far ahead he is.
And if they wouldn't have killed, I think it was, I wish I knew. I want to say Portland State. That's iffy. One of those games, he only played a half game. And I think it was Portland State. I'm really testing my memory on that one. That could be incorrect. But they dominated them, so he only played half a game. He had a huge game even in the half.
Yeah, that was also it was Portland State. Yeah,
it was Portland. Okay.
Yeah, they beat Portland State 56-14. Jeanty had 11 carries for 127 yards, and they're like, "All right, bro, go sit down."
Yeah, it was not worth it at that point.
He's not. The thing that pisses me off about this is you hear the talking heads on TV, and a majority of them don't have him in the Heisman conversation right now.
Well, that's stupid. Yeah, he's Heisman frontrunner.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. I don't care about Cam Ward. I don't care about Travis Hunter. I don't care about Jalen Milroe. Like, they're all having good seasons, but this is potentially a once in a lifetime historic season. Anyone who doesn't have him at the top of the list of the Heisman runners right now is ridiculous. I
agree. And I mean, obviously I've been a little biased towards Travis Hunter. Right now, I would put Travis Hunter third. I think if we're giving it's week 6. We're kind of halfway through the season. Obviously, there's a little more weeks, but I would put Jeanty 1, Milroe 2, Travis Hunter 3 if I was doing my top 3 right now. And I'm not sure it's that I think he's separated at 1 pretty high.
Just like he's separated from the number 2 guy. In the league. Yeah.
And I mean, at the beginning of the year, obviously, we did our playoff predictions. Boise was my group of 5 team to make it. I still think they're in pretty good shape for that. They did lose the game to Oregon, but again, that game isn't necessarily that relevant if they can win the rest. So I really like what Boise State's been doing. They've been very fun to watch.
That was a close game too. So it's not, I know a loss is a loss, but they only lost to Oregon by 3, right? So
and there was a lot of screw jobs going on at the end too. And Dan Lanning ran a really gutsy 4th down play to seal the game when Boise could have got the ball back. It was a really good game.
Speaking of screw jobs, I assume we're going to be talking about Miami, Virginia Tech here soon.
Oh man, that'll be when we go over the top 25 scores, but that just shows how terrible officiating is so bad. I mean, we've said it millions of times, but it just continues to be worse. But just to continue off of some dominance here, Kalen DeBoer, with Alabama beating Georgia, Kalen DeBoer is now 30-3 as a head coach in power conferences. He's 6-0 versus Kirby Smart, Dan Lanning, and Steve Sarkisian. That's pretty impressive numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know a lot of people weren't really big, didn't really know. I mean, last year he obviously put his name on the map a little bit. I know that was kind of his kind of introductory to a lot of people was what he did with Washington last year. I mean, obviously he happened to be with a team I really like before, so I've been following him for a little bit longer, and I've absolutely loved what he's done. But I mean, my God, 30-3 in power conferences and 6-0 against Smart, Lanning, and Sarkisian. He's off to a pretty good start, and that team, man, they're better than people thought they were going to be. That team's really good.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to Bama for landing him after Saban retired, because that could have been a downslide for a couple years, depending on who they brought in. And I mean, unless something crazy happens, DeBoer's going to be there as long as Saban was.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I mean, I don't really care about Bama itself, but I'm always going to root for wherever Kalen's at. And yeah, I mean, with Ryan, I love Ryan Williams. I love Jalen Milroe, so they're very fun to watch. So keep him in college football, keep him somewhere good, and I think it's going to be awesome. So a little recap of last week. Last week, we did both miss our locks. I had Michigan, which, speaking of terrible referee screw jobs, Minnesota scored. I think they were down, I think it was 3. I don't know exactly what the score was. It was one possession for sure. I think it put them down 3. They scored, kicked an onside kick, got the onside kick, and the ref said they were offsides. There was no one anywhere near being offsides. Unbelievable decision on that one. Reese, as we talked about earlier, had Ole Miss. Both of them. Ole Miss did lose the game outright. Michigan did hold on to win. But when it came to the dogs, we had a pretty good week with the dogs. Reese, talking about Bama. Bama was plus 104 on their home field. I don't know how the hell Bama should never be plus money on their home field. I don't care who they're playing, but they were. And plus 104 is a nice hit. Mine, I don't like this team, but plus 450 Colorado went over UCF last week, and that was a very nice money maker for the dog last week. So some top 25 scores last week in this one, we'll get right into it. So this was Thursday night or Friday night? I believe it was Friday night. Miami beat Vautech 38-34. Vautech threw a Hail Mary, caught the Hail Mary, ruled a Hail Mary. There was nothing that showed this was not. Let's just say, if they would have called it incomplete, cool. But they called it complete. And when it takes 6 minutes of review, there's not evidence that should be overturned.
The only evidence I saw is that referee was fearing for his life if he would have called that a touchdown, because
I agree.
You can't call it. There's no way you reverse that either way you call it. So if you call it on the field a touchdown, it's got to stay a touchdown, and vice versa, because there was not clear evidence in either direction of what was going on there. I was sitting there. I caught the tail end of that. Like, I turned it on at the right time. It was right when they were driving down the field to win the game, and just super disappointing to have these college games end like this because of dumbass officiating.
And that's that's a conference game that has implications for conference championship, has implications for a bye week. And I mean, there's a lot of things that go into that they just got screwed out of. Like, I'm just not a fan of. We've got to figure something out. And when we have replay, like the college replay system is better than the NFL system. They at least replay every play, but you can't look at a play for 6 minutes and then just be like, yeah, we're going to overturn that, when there was clearly nothing clear in any situation. Some other games going on. Texas, Arch's last game. I believe Quinn Ewers is going to be back now. Texas won 35-13 over Mississippi State. Ohio State went to Michigan State, beat the hell out of them 38-7. Kentucky beat Ole Miss 20-17. Oregon beat UCLA 34-13. Penn State beat Illinois 21-7. The rare Utah loss on their home field as Arizona beat Utah 23-10. And again, Cam Rising did not play. Michigan beat, there was the score right there if I'd have looked. Michigan beat Minnesota 27-24, so it was a 3-point game when they kicked the onside kick that they got screwed on. USC 38, Wisconsin 21. It was a nice performance by USC on their home field. LSU beat South Alabama 42-10. Louisville lost to Notre Dame 31-24. Clemson beat Stanford 40-14. Iowa State blanked Houston 20-0. Due to the beefy 5-layer burrito, Kansas State won 42-20 over Oklahoma State. Oklahoma did beat Auburn 27-21 in one of the ugliest games I've ever watched. It was a very ugly game. BYU continues 5-0 now, 34-28 over Baylor. Texas A&M beat Arkansas 21-17, and Boise State put on quite a performance against Washington State, 45-24. All right, week 6 is here. Let's get to that. We're going to kick it off, I believe, on Friday night, tomorrow night. Sorry for that. Also, I know the the schedule's a little off this week. I just had some scheduling things going on, but Thursday night it is. We're here. Tomorrow night is Friday. We got 2 games going to kick off. Michigan State is going on the road to number 6 Oregon. Oregon is a 23.5-point favorite at Autzen Stadium in Eugene, Oregon. 52.5 over under Friday at 9:00 on Fox.
Yeah, Team Sparty's at the absolute bottom of the barrel in turnovers right now. I think that benefits Oregon. Friday Night Lights, a little extra juice in this one. I'll go with the Ducks here to win and cover.
Yeah, I'm on Oregon also. Oregon's coming off of a bye, and Michigan State just hasn't really shown much yet. And I think Oregon on their home field in a night environment, I think it's going to be quite the show for Oregon. I think they can cover the 23.5. Syracuse is going on the road to number 25 UNLV. UNLV is a 6.5-point favorite at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. 58.5 over under Friday at 9:00. Also, we got 2 games going Friday night at the exact same time. That's brilliant planning. This one's on the one for fun.
Yeah, Rebels are 4-0 against the spread this season. Moving on to life without Sluka after he said kick rocks since he's not getting paid enough. But Malik Williams looked really good last week against Fresno. Syracuse historically doesn't perform well against the spread as a road dog, but I think they can keep it within 6 here. So I am going to go with Team Mello plus the points to keep it close enough.
Yeah, and UNLV, their running back actually just did the same thing. He has declared a red shirt also. So another one for that team, which I found interesting. I'm with you, though. I like Syracuse on the road in this matchup. I just think Syracuse is a better team. I probably shouldn't say this, but I think Syracuse is probably going to win this outright. But I'll take them plus the 6.5. But I think this is a watch the money line on this one. Going to Saturday, UCLA, as if they haven't traveled all the way around the world already this season. Now they're going to go to Penn State and play at a 9 a.m. game local for them, which is real nice. So UCLA at number 7, Penn State. Penn State's 27.5-point favorite at Beaver Stadium in University Park, Pennsylvania. 46.5 over under Saturday at noon. The big noon kickoff on Fox.
Yeah, Penn State's the better team here. UCLA has been covering the past couple weeks. If this were a little bit later of a game and the spread were 28.5, I'd consider UCLA, but I'm going to go with Penn State here to win and cover at home.
Yeah, I like Penn State in this one too. Eventually, I think the losing and the travel, I think it's all going to catch up to them at some point. So I like Penn State at home too. This one's going to be a fun one. I like this game a lot. Number 9, Missouri, going on the road to number 25, Texas A&M. A&M's a 2.5-point favorite at Kyle Field and College Station. 48.5 over under Saturday at noon on ABC.
Yeah, Mizzou's coming off a bye week, so they got an extra week to prepare for the Aggies. Really solid run game going on right now. We'll talk about this one a little bit later, but I'm going to go with Missouri plus the points here.
Missouri plus the points. Our man is pissed. Give me Texas A&M minus 2.5.
Now let's go ahead and do that yell together. Pass it back, Ags.
Pass it back, Ags. SMU going on the road to number 22, Louisville. Louisville's a 7-point favorite at L&N Federal Credit Union Stadium in Louisville, Kentucky. 56.5 over under Saturday at noon on ESPN.
Well done with the L&N FCU. I like it.
I finally caught on to it.
Yeah, finally caught it. It only took 6 weeks. Cards definitely need to limit the turnovers this week, especially against this offense. I like Louisville at home, but I do think the horse team can probably keep this within the score. If this were 6.5, 7.5, I don't know. I'm going to go with the horse team here plus the points. This may be a push, though.
One thing I learned last week as SMU was beating the Christ out of Florida State on their home field was SMU, we should probably start referring to as the pony team, not the horse team. They have a little pony horse on the field, which is hilarious. And they actually say like pony up and shit. Like they actually want to be ponies. So we've called them the horse team since probably college football 2006, probably somewhere around there. So it's been quite a while of the horse team. So referring to them as the pony team is probably going to be tough, and I'll probably forget, but I'm going to try. So
speaking of that, we said Vatek about 13 times earlier in the show.
I believe I told that man at the beginning of the year I will still refer to them as Vatek. So Hopefully he still listens. He can put that 5-layer burrito in the same place.
God.
Did you make a pick?
Yeah, I did. Pony team.
All right. I am actually on Louisville on their home field. I like Louisville at home in this one, rebounding off the loss to Notre Dame. Iowa is going on the road to number 3 Ohio State. Ohio State's a 20-point favorite at Ohio Stadium in Columbus, Ohio. 44.5 Saturday at 3:30 on CBS.
Yeah, we'll see if the Iowa Hawkeye defense can slow down this dual threat run game. Iowa's coming off a bye, but I don't think it's going to matter. I'll take Buckeyes here to win and cover.
Yeah, I'm on Ohio State too. I know Iowa has scored a little bit more this year, but I don't think that's going to happen in Columbus. I do think the over-under is a little low in this one, though. I think Ohio State might actually score quite a bit on their home field, but Ohio State minus the 20 I do like. All right. Auburn's going on the road to number 5 Georgia. Georgia's a 24.5-point favorite at Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia. 52.5 over-under Saturday at 3:30 on ABC.
Yeah, Georgia obviously coming off the road loss to Bama. Probably going to come into this game a little frustrated. That's not going to bode well for Freeze and the Tigers, so I'm going to take the dogs here to win and cover.
Yeah, Hugh Freeze does typically play the good teams really well, but I'm just wondering, like last week, Oklahoma came to Auburn and beat them. I know it was a close game, but I think coming off of that game and then having to go to a Georgia team that just lost, like the situation, I don't think it's a good situation for Auburn. Typically in this situation, I would take them to cover, but this is the 1 week I don't think it lines up good for them. So I'm going to take Georgia minus the 24. Your favorite team, number 12, Ole Miss, is a 9-point favorite going on the road to South Carolina, Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina. 53.5 over-under Saturday at 3:30 on ESPN.
Yeah, frustrating loss against Kentucky last week. Good call on your part, saying that was going to be a close game. This is in the WB, but unfortunately for the Gamecocks, I think they're going to run into a pissed-off Lane Kiffin that's ready to run the score up a little bit. So I am going to take Ole Miss here minus the points.
Yeah, I think this is that true test. Like we talked about Oklahoma State. Once they shit the bed, the season has been awful. Now, this is another team. They've done it. Let's see if they can rebound and actually say, hey, we can salvage this season and still have a pretty good year. I mean, they're still 12th. I mean, they have plenty that they could still play for. I really wish this was a night game because I've said it multiple times. There's not a better environment, honestly, in the SEC and most of college football at night than South Carolina at night. Like, it's awesome. At 3:30, crowd's still going to be pumped, but it's not going to be the same. And I do like Ole Miss to go in and cover the 9. Number 23, IU, is a 14-point favorite going on the road to Northwestern in the Lonnie and Sharon Martin Stadium, which is one of the best stadiums in college football. This little field constructed right by the lake, which is awesome. It's in Evanston, Illinois. 41.5 over-under Saturday at 3:30 on the Big Ten Network.
IU ranked here, like it. They're averaging almost 50 a game, going up against a garbage offense at Northwestern. Light the SIGs. I'm taking the
Yeah, I think IU might go over 41.5 themselves. Like, I think they're going to kill them. I like IU a lot in this one. Number 1, Alabama, the newly ranked number 1 team in the nation. 22.5-point favorites going on the road to play the Pisser, Diego Pavia, Vanderbilt, First Bank Stadium, Nashville, Tennessee. 55.5 over-under Saturday at 4:15 on the SEC Network.
Yeah, I think we may see possibly a little bit of a slow start for Bama here, coming off the big win last week, but I still think pissing Diego Pavia is going to be in for a long day. So give me Roll Tide roll here to win and cover.
I know. I think this might be the first time I've picked against him this year. I'm taking Bama to cover. I hope Diego gives him a good game just because I want to see a good game, but I'm not sure that's going to happen this week. And what usually is one of the games, actually probably like the second game I look forward to most in the college football season. This year's not going to be as exciting, but number 15, Clemson's a 14.5-point favorite on the road in Florida State. Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee, Florida. 47.5 over-under Saturday at 7 o'clock on ESPN.
Yeah, like you said earlier in the year, we were both really looking forward to this one. Now I'm going to be doing welfare checks on you periodically throughout this game. Are we getting Glenn or Cromenhoek? Which one's it going to be?
It'll be Brock Glenn.
Okay, so we get Brock Glenn. Unfortunately, I don't think it matters here. I'm still going to take the Tigers to win and cover. Florida State's just a mess right now.
Yeah, I don't think they're ready to play this game. I think Clemson will probably have a defensive score, honestly, too, with Brock playing. I am excited for Brock to play, get a little bit more experience. Obviously, he got that time at the end of the year last year when Jordan Travis was hurt. But I don't know. I just want to see Brock play well, essentially. And again, hopefully we look like we have some signs of life in this game, but I do think Clemson's going to cover the 14.5. Utah State's going on the road to number 21, Boise State. Boise State is a 27-point favorite in Albertson Stadium. Boise, Idaho, 66.5 over under Saturday at 7 on the 2 for you. Fox Sports 2 for the first time this year.
The 2 for you. I love it. Heisman Trophy style season, like we were talking about. He's going up against one of the worst defenses in the country. I'm easily going to take the Smurf turf here to win and cover all day.
Yeah, I like Boise a lot in this one. 66.5 is a little surprising because I don't think Utah State's going to score that much. This could potentially be an under.
Jonty might get 60 points.
Yeah, that's true. 66 is a lot. I don't think I think it'll. Like I could see Boise winning this game literally by like 40, but I don't think Utah State's going to score enough to get it to 66.5. But I guess we'll see. I do like Boise to cover though. All right. Number 4, Tennessee is a 13-point favorite going on the road to Arkansas at Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville, Arkansas. 58.5 over under Saturday at 7:30 on ABC.
Vols coming off the bye. They're one of 2 teams in the country. They're ranked top 5 in scoring offense and scoring defense, with the Buckeyes being the other. Razorbacks have a decent rush defense this year, but it's about to be tested by Rocky Top. I'm going to go with the Vols here to win and cover.
Yeah. Outside of Bama, Tennessee, I think, is probably my second favorite team in college football this year. I can't wait for them to play. I'm taking Tennessee minus 13. I really like Tennessee. Number 10, Michigan's going on the road to Washington. Washington's a 2.5-point favorite at home at Husky Stadium in Seattle, Washington. 41.5 over under Saturday at 7:30 on NBC.
Yeah, I didn't believe this at first, but this is Michigan's first road game of the year, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. If Huskies can slim down the penalties, which has been a problem for them all year, this may end up poorly for Michigan. I was a little surprised at first when the number 10 team is not the favorite with an unranked Washington team, but considering the time this game is going to be played, Will Johnson may be out due to shoulder injury. Will Rogers has kept himself under control as far as turnovers. I don't think he's thrown a pick this year. I'm going to go Huskies here to get the win and cover.
Yeah, I think this is we're going to see a lot from Jed Fish here. We're going to know a lot. I'm actually on Michigan in this one. I like Michigan to win this game outright, but I am looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be a good game. I just don't think Washington it's kind of weird because both of these teams, obviously, like this was the national championship. So, I mean, these teams are so drastically different. The coaches are different. Literally everything is different in this game. So it's kind of crazy, but I just think Michigan has a little bit more than Washington this year. So I do like Michigan to get the cover. Number 11, USC is an 8-point favorite going on the road to Minnesota at Huntington Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. 50.5 over under Saturday at 7:30 on the Big Ten Network.
Yeah, the Gophers have a pretty decent pass defense. I think part of that's who they've been playing so far, but it'll be interesting to see how Miller Moss handles that in just broadly this USC offense. There's not really any home field advantage at the bank, so I'm going to take USC to win and cover here.
Yeah, I just hope that USC doesn't get into one of those sleepy zones here, because this is one of those games where like you could just see they got to travel over to Minnesota. You could just see them kind of maybe lolling through this game, but we'll see if the closest thing to the modern day Professor Harold Hill can pull something out with his boat. But I like USC -8 here, and hopefully they beat the hell out of them, to be honest. But Baylor going on the road to number 16, Iowa State. Iowa State's a 12-point favorite at Jack Trice Stadium in Ames, Iowa. 44.5 over under Saturday at 7:30 on Fox.
Yeah, these have been close matchups historically. The road team has won the last 5. I think Iowa State gets the W here at home. I just don't like the spread. You know what? Give me Iowa State here to win and cover.
Yeah, I'm on Iowa State also. I'm starting to actually become a really big fan of this team. I'm actually starting to wonder if this is going to be the Big 12 representative in the playoff. But obviously, we talked earlier in the Big 12 preview about how wide open the Big 12 was, and this was one of the teams we said there was a chance. And the way they've been playing, I mean, Matt Campbell's always been a great coach, so we'll see what happens as the year goes on. The Big 12 is still wide open actually, but number 8, Miami. 10-point favorite on the road at California Memorial Stadium in Berkeley, California. 54.5 Saturday at 10:30 Eastern on ESPN. and what has been deemed woke versus Coke. Which is awesome.
I saw a graphic on Reddit a couple days ago that we almost ended up on this screen, but I couldn't compete with the beefy 5-layer. Miami should be playing with a loss after the last week's game. We already talked about that, but here we are, top 10 ranking. Cam Ward's familiar with the Golden Bears from his days at Washington State. Late night game day matchup, so I expect him to show out here. I'll take Miami to win and cover.
I know. I don't want to do it. I love Justin Wilcox. I like Cal a lot, but Florida State's only win this year is to Cal. So, I mean, I just don't think Cal has it this year. If there's ever going to be a game, it's this one. I mean, it's a late night game for Miami all the way across the country. And hopefully, I mean, Cam Ward has turnover issues. That's been his thing in his whole career. And Justin Wilcox has a defense that can create turnovers. So I'm really hoping that maybe we'll see that. But I for the pick, I'm on Miami -10. All right, that is it for top 25. Muncie 6-pack. Here we go. Western Michigan's a 10-point favorite going on the road to Ball State, Schumann Stadium, Muncie, Indiana. 56.5 over/under Saturday at 2 on the plus.
Yeah, big disappointing game last week for Ball U against JMU. Hopefully they can get it back in track here on the shoe. I don't know if they're going to get the W, but I'm going to take the Cards to at least cover.
Yeah, JMU is too good. I wasn't worried about them ever contending with JMU. As I said last week, I didn't give them a shot in hell of even contending in that game, and they didn't. JMU is just one of those teams that, I mean, they're too good. Like they're a ridiculous team. I like Ball State coming back here. I like them on their home field. I don't think Western Michigan's that good, and they're getting 10. I'll take the 10 all day. I like Ball State. I don't know why one of these teams, at least one, if not both of these teams, aren't ranked. This should be a top 25 matchup to me. Rutgers is going on the road to Nebraska. Nebraska is a 7-point favorite at Memorial Stadium, Lincoln, Nebraska. 40.5 over/under Saturday at 4 on the one for fun.
I like this matchup a lot. Nebraska's loss this year, their only one is a matchup is against a team that can run the ball in Illinois. They are going to have to do better than that last game because Shiano is going to shove it down their throat. Yep. This is just going to be pound, pound, pound. I like Dylan Raiola. I like Matt Rule. I like what they're doing at Nebraska, but I'm going to take Rutgers here plus the 7. I think this is going to be a really good game, and it's probably going to be close.
Yeah, I know. The 7 is what kind of gets me. I think that's too big. I am actually on Nebraska just because I trust them on their home field a little bit more. Rutgers really hasn't had a road test that's been that huge yet. They've had a lot of their games at home, which is one of the things we mentioned when we went through their win total prediction, because we both were pretty big on their over, which, I mean, I think they're going to sail through at this point. It should be easy. But I do like Nebraska at home minus the 7. But yeah, this is one of those games. Like, there's not a whole lot of great games this weekend that I'm really looking forward to, but this is one I'm really looking forward to. We just talked about JMU a minute ago. JMU is a 17-point favorite on the road at UL Monroe at Malone Stadium. Carl Malone, Monroe, Louisiana. 48.5 over/under Saturday at 7 on ESPNU.
Yeah, JMU just obviously finished slapping Ball State around. Barnett's looked good this year. JMU has also been good against the spread on the road and been playing well in conference. All of those reasons give me JMU here minus the 17.
Yep, I am on JMU also to thrash them. UCF is a 2.5-point favorite going on the road to Florida at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium in Gainesville, Florida. 61.5 over/under Saturday at 7:45 on the SEC Network.
Yeah, I'm honestly slightly surprised that UCF is the one that's taking points right now. They didn't look great against Colorado last week. Gators haven't been playing well at home, but they have historically done well against non-conference opponents at Ben Hill. And we talked about this, I think, a little bit ahead of the show. Like, UCF just hasn't looked all that impressive this year. I'm going to go with the Gators here plus the 2.5.
Yeah, I'm on Florida also in this 61.5. Like, I know traditionally these are two teams that score a lot of points, but I don't see that in this game at all. Like, if this game hits 50, I'm going to be surprised. That's a high over/under for a game like this. Like, I don't see this being an offensive explosion game, especially when neither one of these teams can even really form an offense. So I do like Florida to cover and probably even win this game, honestly, on their home field. But 61.5 is crazy to me. Another game with some kind of like the Rutgers-Nebraska game, like, I'm kind of surprised one of these teams isn't ranked, but Duke is going on the road to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's a 9-point favorite at Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. 54.5 over under Saturday at 8 on the ACC network.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the Dukies aren't ranked right now for sure. Malik Murphy has looked solid. I think that could spell trouble for Georgia Tech. Tech's won the last 3 meetings, but the last 2 have been decided by a total combined points of 7. I'm taking Duke here plus the 9.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's in Atlanta, but I'm still on Duke. I like Duke getting the points also. Kansas going on the road to Arizona State. Arizona State is a 2.5-point favorite at Mountain America Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. 50.5 over under Saturday at 8 on ESPN2.
Yeah, I was excited to watch Jalen Daniels at the beginning of the year, but the Jayhawks are ass this year. I don't know what's going on with them. Sun Devils have lost 6 of their last 7 home games against conference opponents, but I still don't trust Kansas. So I'm going to take Arizona here minus the 2.5 to get a bounce back win and cover.
Yeah, and just watching the 2 teams this year, one team is on the rise and one team is definitely on the decline. I will take Arizona State minus 2.5. Final game, again, we got Arizona playing late as hell, which I love. Makes for some late nights, especially with the London game this weekend, but it's going to be awesome. So Texas Tech is going on the road to Arizona. Arizona is a 6-point favorite at Arizona Stadium in Tucson, Arizona. 64.5 over under Saturday at 11 on Fox.
Yeah, Arizona obviously coming off that huge win over Utah last week. Hopefully this isn't a letdown game for them coming back home after the big win. Tech can also put up some points, so this could end up in a shootout, but I am going to take the Cats here to win and cover at home.
Yeah, I'm on Arizona also. I said earlier, Bama and Tennessee were probably my 2 favorite teams going on right now during the season to watch, and Arizona I would probably have to put as number 3. I love Arizona. I do like them to get the cover in this game. All right, so that is going to wrap up the picks for the Muncie 6-pack. So now we will get into our lock of the week, and we will start with Reese. Reese, what is the lock of the week?
Lock of the week for me is Tennessee minus 13 at Arkansas. I like the matchup. I don't think the Razorbacks are going to be able to slow down this offense.
Yeah, I like it. Like I just talking about, they're one of my favorite teams to watch. I absolutely love watching Tennessee. My pick, if you would have told me at the beginning of the year I was about to do this, I'd tell you just you could put 3 beefies in my ass. But I got Clemson minus 14.5 going on the road to Florida State. I don't think this game is close at all. Clemson probably wins this game by 24 at the minimum. So I'm unfortunately on Clemson. Dog of the week, Reese. Last week we both hit the dogs. What do you got this week?
Hopefully I can hit it twice in a row here. I'm going to go with Missouri to get a big win over Texas A&M on the road. Hopefully Cook and Burden can get things going early and get an upset win in what's going to be a hostile environment. It'll be a good record for their season.
That's going to be an absolutely awesome game. It's a noon game, so it's 11 a.m. local kick. It's going to be hot as Christ. The Yell leaders are going to be doing their thing, whatever you want to call that. But yeah, I mean, it's a great kickoff to the college football Saturday. I'm really looking forward to this game. Take mine to Muncie.
Let's go.
Give me the Ball State Cardinals plus 260 hosting Western Michigan this weekend. Throw out the game against Miami. Throw out the game against JMU. Those teams are too good. We cannot base what Ball State is off of those 2 games. Those teams are very good. Ball State's better than that. They're going to come back to the shoe and beat Western Michigan at home plus 260.
I love it. Best pick you've done all year.
Oh, calm down. Give out a plus 440 last week. Yeah. All right. So that is it for week 6. Sorry again for the delay, but you know what? It's closer to game time already. We got games tomorrow night, 2 games tomorrow that we've already picked. So get in, get your bets. We're a little bit closer to the actual real lines this week as opposed to having to pick them a few days early. That's it. We will be back also with the NFL episode here very soon. So just check them both out. There is an NFL game tonight, so hopefully you get to listen to that before that game kicks off. But that is it for week 6. We will see you next week. For Reese Downing, I'm Jacob Bergman. See you guys next week.
Cheers, guys.